Right now, we are looking at an investment analysis for 2042 and 2038 Lexington. I always like starting off with the information we have on the property. So we got 5 structures on 2 lots. It's 10,050 square feet of improvements, 14,875 square feet of land. Okay, so the gross annual income is 85,260. This is something that Richard has consistently said that they were about this point. So those are some of the broad parameters. As far as the units go, according to the owner, most of the units are occupied and pretty stable. There's one tenant here that is older that may be moved out or may have their tenancy end within the next year or two. That's based on my estimations, but everything else appears to be pretty accurate to the data here. So this is 75 to 100, 75% to 100% full. Okay, here I want to talk about some of the comps. This is a process that takes most of our time to get data, but when we look at the sales comp criteria, everything that's within a 10-mile radius, which is really, really big for this market. So we're going to be more specific in a second. We're looking at a 10-mile radius, all multifamily, existing or under renovation, just like Lexington. The property size about the same amount of units, with the sale date within the last 2 years. Okay, and they're excluding public record sales, portfolio sales, and condo sales here, and you can see the criteria. Now, when we look at these 8-unit properties, you see that the prices vary quite a bit, but I'm focusing on near town Montrose, which is the same market that we're in, and we're seeing prices at 900,000, well, actually a low of 800,000. Let me go ahead and sort this better. Okay, so these are all near town Montrose. So we see a low here is 850,000 for a 5-unit. We see a high here at 1.7, and I want to pull both of those up so we can see what some of the differences are. Okay, here's one of the lower comps. That was $800,000. You have the buyer NPN Realty. We have a buyer contact here that we can reach out to if we need to get information on it. So it was sold in 2016. Sales price was $800,000. Basically $79 a foot for the land. The total amount of land here, it was 0.23 acres of land. I'm going to leave this screen on a little bit longer so that you guys can see the data that we're looking at here. So we do have access to the deed if we need to review that, as well as the loan documents. That you guys just let me know if we need to have access to it, and I'll pull that up. So let's pull up the other property. So the low was 800,000 in this market, and that was 410 Main Street. I do want to look at the high here, and that's 1.7 million on Kipling. This was also sold in 2016. Price per foot, $285 here. The seller was L.H. Houston Investments, or George Lee, so we can reach out to him to get more details. There are some pretty notable differences on the property. We're going to get to the land in a minute, but looking at the site itself in the pictures here, this has obviously been renovated, and the condition of the property is in a different state. The Lexington properties are basically going to be a tear down type property, whereas this one, which is a confirmed price at 1.7, this property here is in a much stronger condition with adequate parking for the tenants. I've been on this site. Let's see what else we can pull up. So this is sitting on 0.14 acres or 5,950 square feet. So it's about half the size of Lexington from square footage. As we look at the ownership history here, now we need to get more information, but it appears, based on the data that we have, that there were some pretty large improvements done to the property in 2004, and there's been a steady increase after that to the total assessed value of the property. We could see from the pictures here, Richard stated that these were basically tear down properties. We shouldn't look at the infrastructure as much. And after looking at these properties on site, I would agree with his assessment that the condition of the properties is something that he does not want us to go into great detail on, but he is saying that the land is the most valuable piece that he sees there. He stated that he moved 2 homes on this site, so it's possible that we have some plumbing and water pressure issues there. Structurally, we're going to have some substantial amount of dollars that are going to have to be spent on improvements if we're going to upkeep, just to upkeep these properties. Renovation may just be a flat out knockdown type deal. So this is, for all intents and purposes, a land transaction. So let me give you a brief summary here. When we look at this type of property and we're looking at the comps, which I think the radius is very large, but finding confirmed comps on this is very tough. We are going to have conversations with other brokers here that have done deals literally next door, 2-3 blocks down, to get kind of off the record numbers here. But between that 800,000, which showed a better condition, a more equal condition to what Lexington is, to the high that we noticed of 1.7 million, which was basically a fully functional property with land and a facility on top. I mean, it gives us a good picture of what ballpark we're playing in. Richard right now has responded that he wants 1.5 for the property. I'm having trouble finding anything in the marketplace that supports that. But we are going to finish our conversations with some other comps nearby, and we may need to do a little bit more digging on the quality of the property just to make sure that the cash flow here can be sustainable for the next few years at least. If I see anything else that's relevant to this, I'm going to go ahead and attach that via email, or just contact me if you guys need more details on it. But this is the data that we currently have online, so the rest of it's going to have to be through our phone conversations and just using our networks.